Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Bible study and prayer night. We are wrapping up the month of June. You're watching this in July, but June started the week on the 28th and actually on the 29th. So we're finishing up Solitude, which is our discipline focus for the month. And it has been quite a journey for all of us. I got Rusty and Brett with us tonight. The ladies are off today. I think Emma is still traveling and Kim is still taking some leave off, working through her medical stuff with her cancer. So continue to be praying for them as they heal and travel and get back and get in place. So tonight, as I mentioned, we're going through the spiritual disciplines. We have a different one every month. As we wrap up June, as I mentioned, we're doing solitude. So anything to do with the Bible reading plan, where to get it, how to get it. Russ, do you have your prop at home? Look at that. He takes it home I mean, that is a pastor leading by example. Or did you just have two copies? Okay, there you go.
Actually, I
That,
think I have three.
that way you never lose them. So,
Never.
and Rusty, have you picked up your new July one at guest services yet?
I have not.
Have you seen what the tree looks like now?
Is
It's
it
getting a little
losing its
scorched.
leaves?
Not yet, but the grass is scorched. It's like
Grass is getting there.
it's a
Oh,
little
that's
barren,
excellent. Yeah,
drought
I need to get
conditions for
that.
that tree. Um, so anything you want to do Bible reading plan wise, you can simply visit nhcbrp.com. And that has all the resources that I'm going to mention, including the current month and the prior months. Um, as Rusty alluded to, we can pick these up also at guest services when we're on campus at church. We have copies there for you to take if you want a hard copy. So our Bible study and reading plan, we also have people that post an insight post. We do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And that is basically just their take or thoughts on the Bible reading plan, readings from that week, and some insight that they have. And if you want that, you can get them at nhcbrp.com, but you could also have them text right to you when they're posted Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. Just type the word Bible to our main number, 703-971-4673. And it's pretty cool. We have about 150 people that subscribe to that and get it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it's kind of cool to think that everyone's getting it, everyone's reading it, and it's kind of like we're in a virtual small group that just don't talk to each other, which for some of us could be a good small group. So Rusty, keep the head down. Don't make the eye contact like that. Yeah. So we are excited to continue with that. You can also catch any of the past recordings on that nhcbrp.com site. You can listen to the audio only. So if you're driving or walking, please don't watch the video and crash or walk into a tree. So lots of cool things happening with this. We're excited to continue and wrap up Solitude. I'm excited to wrap it up and move on to our next one. Brett, you recall what our next month is again?
We are talking about submission next month.
Another S word. So we'll see how that works for us. Well, let me pray for us, and then Rusty will kick us off in our reading, and we'll see where God leads us tonight, and hopefully everybody can draw closer to him. So here we go. Father God, thank you for those that are turning in tonight and listening during the week or later on. It's pretty cool to think when a collective group of people can come together and study your word, and in this case, a discipline like solitude, and how important it is. And your continued examples in the verses we've been reading this month of how you make that a priority and help us do the same. So, Father God, I just ask that you would be with us tonight as we go through these three readings and wrap up Solitude and see where you want to take us. But thanks again for loving us, and we do appreciate your grace a whole lot. Thank you. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, this is a perfect summary for what we've done for this month. This is Luke 5:16. I'm reading from the New Living. It says, "But Jesus often withdrew to the wilderness for prayer."
All right. I'm going to be reading from Mark chapter 6, verses 31 and 32, also from the New Living Translation. Then Jesus said, "Let's go off by ourselves to a quiet place and rest a while." He said this because there were so many people coming and going that Jesus and his apostles didn't have time to eat. So they left by boat for a quiet place where they could be alone.
Okay, and I've got Lamentations 3:25 through 28, New Living Translation. The Lord is good to those who depend on him, to those who search for him. So it is good to wait quietly for salvation from the Lord, and it is good for people to submit at an early age to the yoke of his discipline. Let them sit alone in silence beneath the Lord's demands.
All right. So we're, like I said, this is our final week in solitude. So we've had a month to apply this discipline and fine tune this discipline. And just curious, I mean, how you guys feel. Is it becoming an easier habit? Has it become uh, just a topic that you'll have during this month? And be honest. I mean, it's okay to lay it out there. And if it has become a habit, what evidence do you have that backs that claim up? How can you share what you've done that's proven that to be true?
Hmm. For me, it has been, David, it's been positive for me.
Hmm.
I have found in my because I didn't always used to think of solitude as being good for me. But in these small times, I haven't been able to like get away. That is something that I definitely have to work on. But in these small moments, I have found that I am much more peaceful throughout my day because I have spent the time uh, in solitude, in prayer with him.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the verses we read, um, there's a physical solitude that Jesus takes on, and that's been a hard one for me. I'm doing solitude in the confines of what I'm already doing. So, like I said, if it's driving, walking the dog, um, finding those moments of solitude, and I don't actually get up and get away to do nothing. If that I'm driving somewhere, I'm walking the dog. One of the things I do uh, on Sunday mornings, I get to church early, and as I walk the building to turn on lights and turn on tech and all the equipment and everything, I'm praying about the morning and the people and those that are, contemplating coming to church and get in there and pray for the kids and the volunteers. And, um, so it always seems to be a act that I'm doing, but I've been more intentional about the solitude within that act, if that makes sense. I don't know if that counts as solitude then, but I'm counting it because I need a win.
Yeah.
And I wonder if sometimes we don't think of things in more dramatic terms than they need to be. Like, do I need to go away for a week-long retreat in the mountains somewhere for solitude? Which that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But it seems like that when we're reading about Jesus, that he carved out time in his regular 24/7, even if it meant it cost him some sleep or some other things, so that he would have that time alone with his father. And I just I just wonder if sometimes we don't it's going to sound weird, over spiritualize something that, David, like you showing up early before you're doing your work to pray. I think that's more than legitimate.
Mm.
I think turning the radio or streaming off in the car or getting up a few minutes early and not having any distractions. I think those things are just as valuable. Um, and I think sometimes we can just make things more, um, we can miss the moment because it's not the exact perfect moment. And I have really liked, I think this actually was probably one of my stronger disciplines prior to this, and it's even gotten better. I'm listening to less stuff in the truck. I'm spending more time deliberately getting up and walking away from distractions to pray and to think. And um, but I've really appreciated this month, and just remembering that if Jesus needed it, guaranteed I do. So
Yeah.
And it looks correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like, in the Mark verse, it feels like there's actually a new component of solitude that we're looking at here, because Jesus says, let's go off by ourselves to a quiet place. So I read that as let us as a group go off by ourselves to a quiet place. So are we looking here at an idea where are we meant to find solitude sometimes with groups, with our
Mm.
small groups? Is that a function of solitude that we're being taught here?
Yeah, I underlined that and I stopped where it said quiet place and then rest, like you thought about. And I was thinking about all the other spiritual disciplines and how they can be done individually, but also corporately. So if we talk about fasting, and Emma had shared how her small group would fast together and come together and share their insights and feedback that they felt during that time. You talk about celebration, you talk about prayer, you talk about, all of the disciplines that we've gone through so far this year have an individual component, but also a corporate or a collective component. And I think there's something to be said about that. Now, I don't necessarily want to go and just sit in a room with a bunch of people and not say anything. The creep meter would be pegged for me. But I understand and appreciate that. Whereas I can be in a group and pray, I can be in a group and celebrate, I can be in a group and fast. So I thought that was interesting that before in our sub verses this month, the apostles were going up to Jesus, who was in solitude, and we're like, dude, what are we doing? We got to get back down to the city. So now it seems like in Mark, he's encouraging them to come and join him in solitude and get in the boat and go away. So I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yeah. And also it said they went away to rest a while. They didn't go and, work on dissertations or, Bible studies or anything. They really needed to they needed some rest.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to follow up, Brett, real quick on what I was saying about practice of solitude this past month. And I think if I self-report, um, I wouldn't have the discipline or desire, I guess it is, to uh, have those intentional moments of solitude if I didn't use it during my things that I have to do, driving, walking the dog, turning on all the equipment. So, uh, I think Rusty did say it was okay. So, I mean, the senior pastor, he kind of blessed that. So I'm going to take that as a win. But the reality is the busyness of life can get in the way. And if we're not intentional about creating opportunities, again, if we have to do something, um, I don't have a grass to mow, but I would think that would be a good time. You're mowing the grass, you're thinking about, that could be a moment. So just something with that, I think was connecting to me that we all have those things that we have to do. So why not use it and bring God along for the ride?
Yeah.
That was ride.
Yeah, I think we all have those things that we have to do. And then I was thinking, Will Heath's message this Sunday about this idea: are we projecting faith forward, or
Mm.
are we projecting fear forward? And I relate that to: am I afraid to spend time, to set aside the time alone with him, uh, because all of these other things aren't going to get done? So it's sort of, uh, can I set aside some of this work, to spend time with him, because I know in faith that all things will get done. He will take care of my day, because I'm spending time with him.
So what are some insights y'all get from this? This is from the Mark passage. It said that, he said, well, let's go rest for a while. He goes, because there were so many people coming and going, Jesus and his apostles didn't even have time to eat. What stands out to you when you think about Jesus being so busy that they didn't even have time to catch a meal?
The work was important, and it superseded the desire for basic human needs like sleep or food. Um, Obviously, my work doesn't compare to what Jesus was doing in his earthly mission, but there's been seasons or times where I'm just white knuckling getting through something and you don't even think to stop and eat or stop and rest until someone says, "Hey man, you need to eat something or take a break, walk away for a while." Um, again, not comparing myself to Jesus.
What do you, I guess the thing I'm thinking about is kind of back to what Brett was getting to is I wonder what things he was willing to leave undone that were really important so
Mm,
they could get away, so they could be better at doing the things that are really important. Like in Mark 1, he had been in Capernaum and had healed Peter's mother-in-law, and everybody was just pouring out to come see him. And they get up, look, he said, everyone's looking for you. And he was out in a quiet place praying. He said, no, we gotta split. We got other places to go. I wonder how much we let, there's a little booklet called Tyranny of the Urgent.
Mm.
I just wonder how many times we're so caught up in needs that are presented to us that we don't get direction on which ones and how we should be pursuing them.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't really have an answer for it, but it's made me think about it.
it fits into the idea of like what tools are we using today? Are they the are have they become idols in our life? Because um, we think that if we don't do this, that the work is not going to get done, as opposed to uh, God will ensure this. He is the one doing the work. Um, that's where my mind went to that. Sometimes we just think that, well, it won't get done unless I am doing it.
Yeah.
yeah, there was something I read over the last couple of weeks that was talking about if you're the one, doing everything, then you're always going to be that person because you're not taking time to train somebody else or, bring somebody else up to speed. And I think that's so important. When I worked for the church, it was real easy to justify busyness because it was the Lord's work. I got to do the mission. The mission is to help all. And, Rusty brought up the example of Jesus, yeah, there was important things for him to do, but also he knew he needed to move on and get more eyes on things and ears listening to what he was saying. So, we can get caught up in that it's justified busyness versus realistic busyness and what we need to do. So,
Yeah, and justified business and sort of I think uh, pride starts to creep in. Like, well, look, people are coming to me,
Yeah.
so I can get this done, and I have the knowledge. And I think that's really easy for folks for that to seep into their lives in really negative ways.
yeah, you become your own idol
Mm.
or can. I thought it was interesting. The word that I underlined in the Luke passage was often, but
Yeah.
Jesus often withdrew to the wilderness for prayer. So it was intentional. It was a pattern. It was a lifestyle for him. Um, and I'm hoping not to lose that as this month fades into July, um, because I think there is something to be said about those moments. And I've seen, I don't want to call it a reward, but I've seen glimpses of value um, in the practice of solitude this month. Um, and I think uh, even if I didn't, it's a discipline that needs to be applied and faithfully worked. Um, and using that word often kind of struck me in the readings this week.
Yeah.
So one of the things that struck me about the Lamentations when I was reading through those verses, the idea of waiting quietly, sitting alone in silence beneath the Lord's demands, and for whatever reason, the whole book of Job came into my mind, and I was thinking, Job would have been a much shorter book if all of them had just sat quietly waiting for the Lord,
Hmm.
right? But the friends wanted to insert themselves, and they had all sorts of opinions and ideas of what Job should or should not be doing, and even Job himself. It was just sort of a funny that my mind went to that book and that idea of, sitting alone in silence. We have to wait. Waiting
That's
is
the hardest part of trust, in my
yeah.
view, is the waiting, or the perceived not hearing and no action. Um, and then I don't tend to want to wait quietly when that happens, because the trust is there and I'm anxious. And then I'm like, okay, what am I gotta, my head starts spinning.
Well, let me throw out something and get y'all's opinion on it, because this one's really weighed on me, especially in the reading this weekend from the Lamentations. Um, there's Proverbs 15:22 says there's wisdom in getting many counselors and advisors. But I wonder if we don't sometimes hide behind getting other people's advice and counsel without genuinely going to God as our primary advisor and counselor first. Like, do I get an idea and I immediately run it by all these other people? And to be honest, most of us know the people to go to if we want to get confirmation on our big idea. I'm going to get many counselors, but they're all of the same ilk because they think I'm great, or they're gonna say, "Way to go." I mean, am I willing to go to God and also go to others, but also pursuing wisdom? And this thing, and it says, "Let them sit alone in silence beneath the Lord's demands." Am I really surrendered to His will, His ways? Or do I look for counselors that are going to support me? And I never take the time to really honestly evaluate before God. It's one of these things I've really been battling with lately, just trying to wrestle with it.
Mhm.
It's interesting because how many times in your pastoral career um, have people come to you and you've given them advice that they don't agree with? And, it's pride, it's stubbornness, it's, just you do want to go to people that are trying to affirm what you're saying and confirm what you want to do. But even we can get stuck with uh, going to wise counsel that gives us a different direction, but we've already convinced ourselves that I'm just checking the box that I talked to the pastor. I'm still going to do. I think we can call that like a black book, that you can have all those times you've told people something and later on you want to pull it back out and, oh, here you go. This is what we talked about. And, now you've had some consequences sewn into your life. Um,
Well, and I think we've all done this, or at least known people that have spent time alone with God and they came up with some big idea, but they're unwilling to vet it to confirm it, because I've got my own biases. And I might think this is the greatest, this is obviously what God wants, but am I willing to move out of my solitude and confirm it?
Mm.
Or do I start with groupthink and then try to get God to baptize that? It's like there's a both and quality to some of this that I think solitude could be used improperly if I'm not careful, and I just go by my own instincts and feelings. There's something got to be that needs to be. There's a both and to a lot of this.
And an order. I think you mentioned the order of it. The idea of God first, sitting with Him quietly. Then the idea of the multiple counselors, and then even then, you're going to counselors who are imperfect. They're good. They might be good counselors, but they are still imperfect. And then after receiving that counselor, going back to the Lord. I think sometimes maybe that last step is one that we don't always take well, and wait. On that last step of waiting in Him.
I think there's something scary about solitude and going to God and not hearing or waiting quietly, or, you know, um, some of the trickiest knotted up moments I've had in my relationship with God has been when I feel like He's talking to me and telling me something that I don't want to hear or don't want to do. And that can be scary. you know? And I wondered, unintentionally, was I subconsciously avoiding solitude because I don't want to have those moments where I have to hear hard things or I have to
Yeah.
reflect on what I'm doing or relationships or patterns in my life that are not good. Um, so I just wondered, that was one of the things I wrote down in my summary for the month was solitude doesn't have to equal scary for me. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like all these disciplines, they work together. Like, and as I was thinking about, thinking independently, but then confirming it with others, David and Kim both have helped me so much over the years when I'll have a big idea, um, and I'll run it by them, and they have been known to be very honest with me. Um, and I say that in all kind of love, but there have been times when I've been looked at like you're kidding. Um, and more often than not, they've been correct. I had an idea, but I see it from a vantage point that is still um, tilted a certain direction. I tend to be a lot more optimistic. Um, and then having people come along that will raise questions, well-intended questions. It's never hurt me, but it doesn't take the place of time alone with God, running ideas and intuition by others, and then going back to God. I think it's this kind of recipe for healthy living that God designed for us. While we need to be in community, a lot of people that I see that get in trouble have moved outside of community because they've got a bias toward their own big ideas. They're only going to find people that agree with them, and if you don't, it's because you're unspiritual. And there's a lot of danger to that. I guess maybe next month we'll be looking at how some of that fits in. But um, I love the solitude thing, but it can't just exist on its own. There's got to be um, a context to it.
what about this idea of solitude being a form of rest? I know we hit that a little bit earlier. Brett brought that up, and it seemed to me to read in that Mark, the two verses in Mark, it kind of read as a command, not something that
Mhm.
they earned. Um, you know, I could view it as earned, but I think, Jesus like, no, come away and rest. Um, how do you use or have you used solitude as a form of recharge or rest? Or, I've always viewed it as more of a deeper connection with God, but never really looked at it through the lens of it being a physical or mental or spiritual rest.
I know for me, it's taking this thing
Uh,
and putting it on airplane mode. If I it, if I don't put it on airplane mode or turn it off, I'm not going to rest because it's constant. Even if I don't feel it vibrate, I know something's going on every few minutes.
but it's important, Rusty. It's
You're right.
important that you get that communication.
Yeah.
I mean, so do you view solitude, as a connection and rest, or do you tend to favor one or more than the other?
Hmm. I mean, I guess for me, it's both. I don't, and it also depends on the particular season I'm in or the day I'm having.
Mm,
There are some times where I just need to literally stop and go to bed or sit on the couch and take a nap. Other times I need to be awake and in prayer, uh, connecting with him because that's the way that I find peace and comfort. Uh, and in that peace, that's also sort of a factor of how I feel rested at
mhm.
that time.
So wait, are you suggesting I could consider naps as solitude? Because I'm nailing that. I'm the greatest solitude person ever.
I don't get the nap thing. I do know that, like I've got a couple of friends that we play golf, trying to play once a week. We're not doing great at that. But getting out to play golf without my phone is, man, it recharges my batteries because I'm not going to be, I've limited my distractions,
Mm.
and it really matters. I am energized after walking 18 holes. And if I'd had my phone on, wouldn't have happened. Now, sometimes I'm nervous when I get back to the truck and I'm going to, oh no, how many messages do I have? But that time unplugged really does recharge the battery. It's funny, being unplugged recharges the batteries versus being plugged in.
So do you find it that you have to earn the right to rest, or do you see it as a commandment that you need to rest? Take away the Sabbath thing, Brett. I know you already went to Sabbath in your brain. But to me, it's like, well, rest is not productive. We're not producing anything of if I'm resting. But the reality is the flip side is with rest, I can be more productive. But where do you guys land on that? Is it something you feel like you have to earn? Like it's okay if I sit on the couch and take a nap and veg out to a television show or whatever.
I think of it as a gift. Yeah, I think of it as a gift because I feel like there is no going wrong if I am resting in Him. If I am if that moment if that part of the day is simply spending time with Him, I can't go wrong there.
Mm. Yeah, it's never wasted. It might be scary, like I was suggesting, what you might feel or hear. Um, but yeah, I think you're right. It's never a wasted moment. He will use it. Um,
I think I've struggled with it because I guess a couple of ways. One is thinking, well, if I'm taking rest, that means others are having to pick up the slack. And
mm,
and that can sound very kind and generous to others, but it also can come back to, well, it's showing I'm not pulling my weight. And that's going to diminish me, and my value is going to be diminished because I'm not pulling my weights. I need to get out there and bust it. I need to keep after it. Um, and it's usually, I'll be honest, I don't know that I've ever done any good thing out of pure motives. I think there's even the best things I do. Sometimes part of it is I want to honor God and serve others, and the other part is I want to be seen as valuable. And
mhm.
that I hate saying
Yeah,
it, but
yeah,
there are times when that motivates me because I don't want to be looked like I'm not pulling my weight or I'm a slacker or I'm lazy. Um, I've been battling that
That's super
quite,
hard.
quite a while.
Yeah.
So far in this month, we saw Jesus go in solitude and try to garner freedom from expectations. You mentioned that verse earlier, Russ. He went away for grief. He went away for decisions. He went away for transformation. And now we kind of see this past week, the fifth week in the month, it's a habit. Um, was there any week that changed your perspective? If it was him getting away from expectations, getting away for grief, decisions, transformation, or it becoming a habit? Was there any of those that stood out to you that made it changed your perspective, or maybe one that you're still avoiding getting away in solitude for?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, silence.
You're getting a little bit deep here. I think we need to
I'm
go
just,
back more to
this is the part where you're summarizing the month and we're reflecting on the month and how it potentially impacted you. You could say nah if you want.
it all kind of blends together for me, if I'm honest. Like not a certain category. Um, I think the one I have the hardest time for is just getting rest. Um, I married someone that naps. I can't, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I think of naps as kind of being a weenie. But that's because I'm not wired as a napper.
A napper.
I used to go to Becky's home, and her parents, they napped every afternoon. I mean, they knew how to nap. They were regularly doing it. And
Wait, like retire to their bedroom nap or just be vegging out in a chair and nap?
no, they just go back and deliberately nap out.
Brett, you're affirming this as if this is a thing that you do. I'd like to get clarification on that, please.
No, I really don't. I don't take that many naps.
No, 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 that's not the question. I need to understand, do you retire to a room that you normally bed in to take said nap when occasionally you do it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, this is interesting.
I do.
Do you put on pajamas to nap?
No,
Okay,
no, I'm just jumping in.
Okay.
just whatever you got, you just, and is there a set time for this thing? Is it,
Well, this is all new to me, so I'm learning. No set time. Just trying to listen. Uh,
I
you know,
like it.
trying to be good.
No, that's good.
If I ever catch you napping during staff meetings, we'll have trouble.
What's Brett doing? Oh, he's got a little solitude right now. Just let him go.
Oh,
Let him be. I think the one for me was freedom from expectations because I always think there's something, that needs to be done or things that are too important not to do. So when Jesus, in Mark 1, that you mentioned, when the disciples and apostles are like, hey, let's go. We got to get back to the people. And he's like, no, we're moving on. We got to go to the next one. And I'm like, what's that CR thing I have, the Celebrate Recovery thing?
codependent.
Codependency.
Yeah, I have that, and it's like, well, wait, we're letting them down if we don't go back. The expectation is that we need to be there for them and we got to please them and be wonderful. And, so that's the one that I struggle with is that solitude to get freedom from expectations. And then a close second would be grief. I don't spend a lot of time in grief, but I can see where it's important. So decisions, transformation, and habit were ones that, I found myself grounded in more from a positive perspective.
Yeah, and I think for me, I haven't thought about it. I guess transformation. I think we don't always understand how transformational our paying attention to his word, our habits can be, not only in our own lives, but for others. Like other people are watching us. I think it could be transformational to an organization if they see their leadership taking the time frequently to be in prayer, to be in solitude with him, to set aside the busyness of the workday because there is blessing and in this idea of spending time with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the idea of being sustainable over the long haul too. I know for me, one thing I've done, and I guess I'm trying to decide if this is solitude or not, but I've got a regular schedule of working out that there's no phones, no interruptions. Everyone here in the house knows that when I go down, I've got a timed workout. And having that, it's almost like the golf with no phone. When I know I've got that time, it does recharge my back. It's like my kind of nap. If I take a nap, I wake up groggy. I'm not doing napping. That's not helpful for me. But to go down and do a really hard weight training workout, completely disconnected from anything else, really does put wind to my sails.
It's kind of like me with spreadsheets and data analysis and formulas. That's my form of a nap.
That's what Teresa Marley does too.
Yeah, she's
Teresa, our
yeah,
CFO, once said, yeah, late at night when everyone's asleep, I get out my Excel spreadsheets, and man, it's so much fun. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
she does
shoot
forensics on
me
all
out.
that financials. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better than getting a nice pivot table going and rocking that. I mean, I'm just saying.
Uh,
I was talking to somebody Sunday about solitude, and they came up to me and said, "Oh, you're the funny guy on the Bible study and prayer night." So the guys watching this right now, I took it as like I was the dumb guy when you said funny guy. I took that as, but what he was saying was, I'm saying, I guess, what he's thinking in some cases. And I took that, but we were talking about solitude, and I said, "How's it going with that?" And yeah, he goes, and I have this adage in my head that if I don't do something, it's either needs to be day one or one day. And he goes, right now, it's just one day. One day I'm going to do solitude. It's not day one of doing solitude. And I never had heard that phrase. It's either one day or day one, and how we can apply it to our lives and do different things that could be hard or scary or a discipline. But I think day one, going this month has definitely shown me there's value in it, which is great. And definitely will continue to pursue it and be intentional about it.
Yeah, isn't that why in Lamentations they specifically say, and it is good for people to submit at an early age. That's that, like, day one. Do this
Yeah,
early, often. I think that's good.
yeah, for sure.
Maybe as a way to honor this month, we could buy a futon and put it in Brett's office. And whenever any of us need some solitude and a nap, we can just go by in
Hold on,
his office. Not the
you
light.
you
This
know
is
we had an employee one time, Brett, that did have a futon under their desk and would pull it out for nap time.
I'm going to be honest with you. This is my first office that I have not had a sofa in.
I heard there's a brown sofa that could find a home in your office.
Ooh,
Any truth to that rumor?
Maybe.
We
Brett's
can
going to
move.
cut short now and go hunt around the building, see if he can find that sofa.
Yeah, get some of those camp counselors, the young whippersnappers, to move it down there for you.
That
Um,
and some footy pajamas. I mean, you're set.
and a sound machine. You got to have some white noise or something pumped in
Yeah.
there. Occasional birds chirping. All right. So we drift. I drift. I'm sorry. Um, so anything you guys have that you wanted to say, or any final reflections on this idea of uh, solitude and what it meant or what it could be, or maybe if it's encouragement or challenge to others that are watching that haven't started day one and if thinking about one day.
Yeah, for me, it's just, take little steps. Start, if this is something that is that you're fearful about or is like overwhelming to you, take it in really small steps. Take it in small moments. Be intentional every day. Because in my own experience, as I've practiced those faith muscles, it just gets easier and easier, and the fear, it just it goes away.
Yep. Spiritual muscles take a while to develop.
And if I
And they,
remember right, when we first started, there was some real concern about how do you carve out time. I think someone mentioned, well, just start with 20 minutes. And my thought is start with 5 minutes. Start
mm,
with, you know, it's a lot easier to grow into something than to overwhelm yourself early on. It's like exercise. If you can start off doing a short walk every day or every other day, that's better than I'm going to go get a gym membership and buy all the fancy shoes and shorts and spend 2 hours and start somewhere and and allow it to build.
mhm.
Um, and I don't think there'll be any regret doing that.
Day one, not one day.
I
Think
like
about
that.
that. That's deep.
It is.
We should build a series around that, Russ.
Let's do it. It'll have to be humorous though if you're going to be part of it because you're the funny one.
Yep. Yeah. I think I was also described as gregarious. I had to look that one up, but that's not a good thing to be sometimes. All right. So, Brett, did you have any final thoughts other than what you shared? I thought we talked about a question you were going to ask. Um,
It was really the question was going to be about, can we find solitude with our groups? And I
Oh
love
yeah, yeah,
that, in this discussion we were able to open up something, sort of a new idea um, about, there's different ways of doing this. It's just not just one way. God will come to you where you are, and He will work with you in the best, what solitude should be for you. That's what He wants for you.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's going to look different for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, just like taking naps is different for everybody. Okay. Well, on that note, if we've concluded our Bible study portion of our evening, I'd like to, Brett's going to read through Psalm 40, I believe, as a time of thought and reflection, and then Rusty will close us out. So, Brett, there you go.
Yeah. And I have just learned so much from Emma
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
during prayer times here, and she introduced the idea of reading through this, praying through the Psalms, and I have started to do that myself, and I encourage everybody, if you have time, if you feel like your prayer life is a little needing some boost, just take a psalm and pray through it. So I'm gonna just pray through Psalm 40 with us here. Um, I waited patiently for the Lord, and He inclined to me and heard my cry. He brought me up out of the pit of destruction, out of the miry clay, and He set my feet upon a rock, making my footsteps firm. And He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. Many will see and fear and will trust in the Lord. How blessed is the man who has made the Lord his trust and has not turned to the proud, nor to those who lapse into falsehood. Many, O Lord my God, are the wonders which thou hast done, and thy thoughts toward us, there is none to compare with thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they would be too numerous to count. Sacrifice and meal offering thou hast not desired.
Hmm.
The ears thou hast opened. Burnt offering and sin offering thou hast not required. Then I said, Behold, I come. In the scroll of the book it is written of me, I delight to do thy will, O my God. Thy law is within my heart. I have proclaimed glad tidings of righteousness in the great congregation. Behold, I will not restrain my lips. O Lord, thou knowest. I have not hidden thy righteousness within my heart. I have spoken of thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation. Thou, O Lord, wilt not withhold my compassion from me. Thy loving kindness and thy truth will continually preserve me. For evils beyond number have surrounded me. My iniquities have overtaken me, so that I am not able to see. They are more numerous than the hairs of my head, and my heart has failed me. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. Make haste, O Lord, to help me. Let those be ashamed and humiliated together who seek my life to destroy it. Let those be turned back and dishonored who delight in my hurt. Let those be appalled because of their shame, who say to me, Aha, aha. Let all who seek thee rejoice and be glad in thee. Let those who love thy salvation say continually, The Lord be magnified. Since I am afflicted and needy, let the Lord be mindful of me. Thou art my help and my deliverer. Do not delay, O my God.
Hmm.
There's a lot to chew on there. And you don't get that by just whipping through it and going off to something else. That I like this verse 16 in the New Living. It says, "But may all who search for you be filled with joy and gladness in you."
Mm.
Thank you, sir. Let's pray together. God, there are way too many times that we rush through time with you. We're so busy doing work. Many times it's work we say we're doing for you, but we don't really take you along with us. This idea of solitude it can seem very counterproductive. It can seem like I don't have time to be alone with you, but not only forgive us when we think that way, but challenge us and stretch us to realize that time alone with you is never a waste. Help us to never make it an excuse for being lazy or for getting away from things we need to do, but help us to see that the work you've called us to is valuable, it's important, it's precious, and we need you, and we need to be connected to you to be able to do it well. It's so good to know you want to spend time with us, that you are aware of us, and you're aware of our faults and our failures. You're aware of our weakness, but it doesn't put you off. I pray that as we move away from this month's focus on solitude, that we will hang on to it as something we build as a habit in our lives, and that we don't just slide away into something else.
Mm-hmm.
We love you, but most of all, we're just so thankful you love us, and we recommit ourselves to you today. Not one day, but today.
Mm.
In His name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, guys, and see everyone.
Bye.